Today's guest conversation is with a longtime scout for the Miami Marlins, Mr. Scott Stanley. Here's episode 80 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Mr. Scott Stanley, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Ross. How are you? It's a beautiful day here in Arizona, so I'm ready to go.
Let's go. It's a beautiful day in DF Dub today, middle of October. This time of year is always just so special, because obviously with the weather changing, but more importantly, the World Series. I got to know, you being a pro guy, being in the Marlins organization, are you watching the World Series? Are you evaluating? Are you paying attention to who's good, who's not? What do you got going on this time of year?
Oh no, I watch. Trust me, I watch. And I sit back and most of the time, not really evaluating, but just watching the way the guys play the game and how good they are at their specialties, and always looking forward to the crazy things that happen in the games, like the one the other night with the catch and the ball hitting the wall and the double play. It's like those things. I mean, those things are what makes the Fall Classic, those games so special. Just to, when are they going to happen? Who's it going to happen to? All that kind of stuff. So that was really amazing. I watched that thing over and over and over again. And in my own mind, I'm trying to think to myself, just like the umpires and the managers were like, what's the rule there? How does that play? And I was so impressed with the left field line umpire that he was able to see that ball hit the wall, and he immediately made the safe call. And which kind of like, because when the announcers were talking about it, they're like, well, how did everybody know how to do the right thing, the base runners and everything? And it all started with that guy making the safe call, which kind of set everything in motion. So
you know what I love about this game, and I'm sure you could say this times 10, but you always see something every day that you're like, whoa, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, I put myself into Teo Hernandez's position. And I'm like, what did my eyes just see? I get it. Ball hit in the air. I'm going back to tag in that situation. But what did I just see? And you could tell the confusion in a big leaguer's head. What am I doing? What's going on? And I love that about baseball. I imagine you see that all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And like I said, just the way that when they did the full field camera and the whole thing of events where the left field umpire makes the safe call, then the throw comes in and it goes to home plate, and the home plate umpire made the out call on the force play. And then they did the force call at third base, so out, and that all ended up being correct. Had they had that ball not hit the wall like that, and everything got turned around, that could have been a huge mess. But as it turned out, everything turned out just perfect.
That's right. And I got to say this, man, I thought once that happened, I was like, the Brewers will win this game. There's no way the Dodgers can recover from it. And now we're sitting at 2-0, and
I know.
that dude Yamamoto threw an absolute gem last night. I want to ask you something. Talking with Scott Stanley of the Miami Marlins on the Baseball Forward podcast this morning. As I watch baseball now, I love what I saw last night out of the Dodgers. I saw a complete game. Yep. I saw a bunt, a guy over with a runner on second.
Yep.
I was like, man, this is how I remember baseball. Like, is it with where you sit now? And I'm not bagging on the game or anything. It's the current state of the game, but like, is it good to see kind of that old school small ball refreshing? Let's let our horse and our donkey go and finish stuff for us.
Absolutely. I love it so much. And I get so upset when I don't see it during the regular season. I mean, why are we just waiting until the playoffs roll around to do stuff like that? I mean, it's just part of baseball. I mean, you get on game 90 of a 162 game season, and like, why don't we bunt to get the lead run over? Why are we swinging away? And in this day where everybody is throwing so hard and the stuff is so good and the strikeout rates have skyrocketed, why are we not trying to move a runner, and we're just letting guys swing away and we get the strikeout and then nothing happens? And and if you look at it, when it comes down to the end of the season and somebody misses the playoffs by one game, that game 90, when you could have moved that runner over and got that run in, could have made the whole difference. So
that's right. Man, you have such an impressive resume, and I want to say this. Coach Schwanke connected us, and man, he has so many good things to say about you. And I want to start here with you, kind of who you are, your baseball background. But I believe I heard it, University of Arizona national champion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Like, I know you understand this, but that's the mountaintop, baby. Like that's the
Yeah,
mountaintop. Like what, as you sit back and kind of look at that, you played at the University of Arizona, you won a national championship. Is that something that gives you just, you walk around with pride almost on a daily basis because you know that you did something that probably 99.9% of the population will never do?
absolutely. I was so lucky to be able to play there. I grew up in Tucson, as Coach Mr. Schwanke did also, and was lucky enough when I got done playing at the high school level. I was lucky enough to get a small scholarship to go to the University of Arizona. I had actually signed to go play at Yavapai Junior College with then head coach Gary Ward.
Yes.
Legendary coach Gary Ward. I had signed to go play for him, but then I ended up getting the phone call from Coach Jerry Kindle. And I had always, growing up in Tucson, I'd always wanted to go to Arizona. So when Coach Kindle called, it didn't matter what the size of the scholarship was. I took it and, was fortunate enough to play there under, Coach Kindle, Coach Jim Wing, Coach Jerry Stitt. And I mean, those guys, as far as just teaching the fundamentals of the game and teaching you how to play the game the right way and how to be a good person and the whole bit. I was so fortunate to be able to go there. And, obviously we, my junior year in 79, we ended up going to the College World Series, won the first game against Miami and then lost the next two. So we got eliminated. And then we got the opportunity to go back again in 1980. And we all almost kind of returned almost the whole team. And we kind of set our sights on, hey, let's not get caught up in the banquet and the idea that we're, at the College World Series. Let's go back to win it this time. We ended up getting beat the first game by Frank Viola, left-hander who had a great career with the Minnesota Twins. Viola was the left-handed pitcher at the St. John's at the time.
Yeah.
And he beat us in the opening round. And so we went into the losers bracket and came back and won 5 straight out of the losers bracket to win the whole thing. So, and to be honest with you, I mean, we have a text message thread with about 13 or 14 of the guys from that team that we still talk, text message back and forth on weekly, daily basis about stuff, and just kind of staying in touch with everybody. And so that's the special part of the whole team, was just the relationships and the friends that we made to that whole thing. And lucky enough, we ended up getting a ring to go along with it. So it was fun.
Talking with Scott Stanley here on episode 80 of the Baseball Forward podcast today with the Miami Marlins, a storied background. Coach Stanley, Scott Stanley, man. I gotta ask one more thing as it relates to the national championship, because I started to fall in love with the game. My father is a retired lieutenant colonel, but he went down into the University of Texas when I was in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, like formative years for me. And I remember going to Dishwalk and watching Coach Gus and those teams. But Rosenblatt Stadium, like to me,
the old original.
Oh, like I get goosebumps thinking about it. I can tell you where I was watching games, and that's where my love for the game just started to skyrocket. So give me something that you remember about like Rosenblatt and like what made that place so special. Do you have anything specific about Rosenblatt?
Just the it ends up being the largest crowd you ever play in front of. First of all, when you get there, I mean, I'm not sure how many it seated, but I mean, when you walked into that ballpark, you're like, wow. I mean, this is something different. It's there a lot of historic teams have played there. A lot of historic players have played there before you. Hey, let's not go and screw this thing up. Let's try to be part of history. And like I said, we got humbled that first game and got stuck in the losers bracket, and it was a long battle to get out of it. But luckily, we ended up doing it. The one thing I can tell you about Rosenblatt Stadium at that time, when the press box was way up high on top of the roof, of the stadium, and if you got called to do an interview after the game, which lucky enough I got one of the games I got called up to do an interview. You had to kind of go up these stairs, and then you had to climb like a ladder.
No way.
On the back of the press box to get up on top, and the weather wasn't great that day. The wind was blowing, and you're kind of up on top of this roof and this press box, getting interviewed, and you're like, and I'm afraid of heights, and that wasn't the most comfortable feeling for me. But that's what I remember about them was like you would think, God, Rosenblatt Stadium, you should have a little better way to get in the press box than climbing up a ladder. But yeah, that was special.
That is an elite story right there. Because I can't. Well, in Omaha, like you're like, hey, that's Tornado Alley, lightning that time of year. Hey, that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, we had one day when I think it was we weren't playing at the time, but we had to go. There was a tornado warning and at our hotel and stuff like that, so we had to go down into the safety part below the hotel because of tornadoes. But yeah, that's a tough time of year for that weather there. So
yeah,
for sure.
I'll tell you what, I wrote something down as we were starting the conversation, and I think knowing of you, and what your role has been and what you've meant to the game, you're a baseball lifer. I kind of have an idea of what I think maybe your answer will be, but I want your words in this, and I don't want to assume anything. But when I say playing the game the right way, playing the game to a standard, from a guy with a resume like yours and so credible, just an understanding of the game. Like, what does it mean to you, to the young guys that are listening to this, when playing the game the right way and playing it to a standard? What comes to your mind? Like, what things come to your mind?
Well, I just think being knowledgeable about the game. It's not so much just about the skills, the run, the throw, the hit, the field, but also like knowing the intricacies of the game. As the game goes on, inning by inning, when plays show up, like being able to think ahead, almost kind of like being a coach on the field, not having to be told what to do, but already knowing what to do. And just, I always tell young guys, if you don't, just sit down and watch baseball on TV, just watch the game and try to think back maybe situations that you were in and how you handled them and then how they handle them, things like that. And I think it's like being a good teammate and not being so much of an individual, but when all 9 guys on the field are working together and all 9 guys in the batting order are working together and you're picking each other up, I think is the biggest part for me. And you don't see that a whole lot these days. But for a guy like me, when I was coming up, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the big power hitter. I was fortunate in my sophomore year at Arizona that there was an injury in the position that I played, and I wasn't the starting left fielder when the season started. Injury happened. I got my chance to go in and play, and I knew that I had to do all the little things right if I was going to stay in the lineup. I had to play great defense. I had to always throw to the right base. I had to be able to sacrifice bunt. I had to hit and run. I had to be successful in all those little things, because I wasn't the big RBI guy or the big home run guy that, they just say, hey, let's just put this guy in the lineup every day because he might strike out 4 times, but he might hit 1 home run. Sure. That wasn't me. I had to do all the little things right. I had to be the great base runner, smart base runner, all that stuff. And so I had to learn how to do all those things to stay in the lineup and play every day.
I like that. In a standard of the game. It's because it's such a beautiful game when it's played the right way. I mean, it's so much fun to watch a well played, a well pitched, well defended, good quality at bats. I mean, that's so much fun to watch baseball that way. Talking with Scott Stanley, the Miami Marlins, on the Baseball Forward podcast. Your job is to evaluate talent. Your job is to get it right. And that's hard because this game is
very hard.
It's super subjective, right? So I want from you, to all the parents and the kids out there listening. I mean, it's hard. It is hard to get through that funnel and get into pro ball and get those opportunities. So when you're out looking at guys and you're out evaluating talent, what are you looking for? Like, has it evolved from physical traits? Do you look for more for mental stuff? I mean, obviously, if you're watching a guy, he's physically probably capable. But like, what things are you evaluating? What are you looking for? What stands out to you?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, if you're going to do your job right as a scout, you get to the ballpark early. You watch how players handle themselves in pregame. You watch them warm up. Do they warm up properly? You watch them in pregame, and you take pride in watching batting practice in pregame, and are they working on things? Or are they just in there trying to hit the ball at the ballpark every time?
Love it.
And the thing about it is, because you have to, I mean, it happens so often where that one guy that you go to watch, everybody knows he's the best player. Even the opposing team knows he's the best guy. And so who's to say that they're going to pitch to him? And so you may go and see 4 at bats where he walks 3 times and pops up once, and you walk out of the ballpark going, what do you got? I don't, so you try to take in all the other things around that. It's like, hey, this guy, man, I'll tell you what, you watch him prepare. It's fun to watch him do the warm-up thing. It's fun to watch him take BPs. He's trying to work the ball the other way, then work up the middle, then work to the pull side, and all those types of things. And because you may not get to see what you want to see in 4 at bats in a game, so then you got to come back again. Now, when I first started scouting, I had an area in Southern California. I had from the 91 freeway just north of Long Beach up to Visalia. So in any one day, I was 2.5 hours from any place in my area. Okay. If I went to a game and didn't get to see what I needed to see, it was easy to kind of go back the next time they played. Okay. 3 years after I started scouting, I got the opportunity to come back to Arizona, because this is where I grew up, and they gave me the opportunity to come back because the position opened up back in the Four Corners, and I chose to come back. Now I have Arizona, I have New Mexico, I have Colorado, I have Utah, I have Las Vegas. Okay. Wow. When you make the 12.5-hour drive to Denver, Colorado, and you get to see a guy walk 4 times, and he doesn't play again for 4 days, what do? Right.
Jeez,
you don't sit in a hotel for 3 or 4 days waiting for him to play again. You go home and you got to try to go back again. So that became a lot harder for me to see on a 1-game thing what I needed to see if I didn't get to see it. So I always really had to pay attention to all the other stuff, talk to coaches, go to practice the next day, watch him practice, all that kind of stuff, kind of behind the scenes stuff, just to get as much information as you possibly could, because you may not get to see in a game what you wanted to see. Every now and then you're lucky enough to go to the game and you get everything. He makes every play. He gets to run the bases. He gets to swing the bat and has to, a couple of extra base hits, and you walk out of the ballpark, you're going, I got it. I got it. I saw what I needed. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So what do you do in that situation? You got to get all the extra outside stuff and kind of put all the pieces together.
All the ancillary, the environment around the player that you're evaluating. Touch on a few of those things. You talk to coaches, do you talk to teachers? Do you talk to principals? Do you talk to ADs? Like, to get the best picture, I imagine, that you can, who are you touching around that player to understand them?
Yeah, all of that, if you have the opportunity to. I mean, as much information as you can gather. There's always going to be somebody's always going to have a different story, of a player, whether it be good or bad. Every now and then, and I've done this a couple times, I'll talk to a couple of girls in the stands and just say, hey, what kind of guy is that? Is he a good dude around campus? And something like that. And they'll tell you what you need to know. Yeah. And I didn't do that very often, but every now and then I did it.
Sure.
But yeah, and then obviously at the end, if it's somebody that you are interested in, at the end, you have to go to his home and you have to sit down with him and his mom and dad or whatever, and whatever the family situation is. And sometimes, I mean, depending on how much time we have, I could tell you some unbelievable stories. I mean,
I'd love to hear them.
I mean, I could tell you a story about Alex Verdugo.
Oh yeah.
Okay? Alex Verdugo was a Tucson guy. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a Tucson guy. Went to Saguaro High School, same as Mr. Schwanke did.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I had living in Phoenix. Obviously, I moved to Phoenix because that's the mecca of the. It's just easier, so much up here. So I moved up to Phoenix. Well, I still had tons of contacts in Tucson, and so Alex Verdugo was an extremely talented player, not only offensively, but he was also an unbelievable left-handed pitcher. Okay.
Wow.
And so it was probably 50-50. Some guys liked him as a hitter. Some guys liked him as a pitcher. But he was I must say, very cocky.
Yes.
Kind of came off as the type of guy that you really didn't like a whole lot sometimes when you watched his attitude on the field.
I can see that.
But man, could he play, right?
Yeah.
And so I tried to contact as many of my contacts down in Tucson to kind of find, hey, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? And the vast majority of them said, man, I'd stay away from him. I'd stay away from him. I had one guy, and obviously I played for Jerry Stitt at the University of Arizona, one of the best hitting coaches in America, always was. And players that played there will testify to that. And I called him and I said, hey, what do you got? And he's like, you know what? He goes, people don't see him the right way. I mean, I think if you get to know him, it'd be a different story. Okay. So I had my home visit with him. I went down there. I had this preconceived notion that I probably wasn't going to like him because that's what everybody was telling me.
Yep.
I sat down with him and his mom and dad, and I showed him a still picture of it was in the Tucson newspaper. He was pitching at the time, and he was throwing a pitch, and the picture showed him he was looking at his hand at release. And I thought that was really, really strange, right? I was like, what guy is looking at his hand when he releases the baseball?
Never heard of that in my life.
And so I showed that picture to him, right? And I go, tell me about this. Well, we proceeded to break down film and pictures and video of him that he had for like an hour and a half. Just the two of us. And it was amazing. And I walked out of there thinking to myself, I love this guy.
Wow.
Right? So I went in there thinking, I'm not going to like him. I walked out there going, love him.
Wow.
Just for the fact that I spent, an hour and a half to 2 hours in the home with him and didn't take what those other guys had said about him, but what I got in those 2 hours with him. So
that's really cool to hear, because you know what? I want to say this, because talking about Alex Verdugo, when my eyes look at him, your initial assessment of him is what I thought of him, right? But the more that I've watched him, I being a former player, I think I like to try to say what kind of a teammate would he be, and I'll judge him based on that. And correct. I think the more that I watch Verdugo, his teammates love him. That's the perception that I get. Is that accurate? And
yes,
and that's got to have something to do with success, right? Your teammates loving you.
No doubt about it. And like I said, it's guys can have their there's always people who out there who are jealous.
Sure.
Of your ability, jealous that Alex Verdugo beat my kid out, and I thought my kid was better. So let's start a bad rumor about Alex. I mean, it's always that kind of stuff that goes on out there.
Yep.
And so rumors start flying around, and you know how if you get 10 people in a circle and start telling a story, how it changes by the time it gets around to the person number 10 or whatever.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that probably happens with some of these guys. Rumor got around. Alex Verdugo is not a very good person, and It took 2 hours with them sitting there breaking down film with them and walking out there going, they're all wrong. Wow. I mean, I'll take this guy in a heartbeat. And that's just stuff that I had to do and to try to sit down and get my own view of those guys before I sent them out to play professional baseball.
So it was his ability to, because I'm thinking of this conversation I had with Steve Smith, longtime Baylor head coach, all-time winningest coach. And I asked him what the commonality of the greats, and he said they compete. They have an awareness of self, right? So I want to ask you, Scott Stanley. You've been in the game for so long, man. Holy cow! I can't imagine there's not much that you haven't seen at this point. So Verdugo, when you guys are going through that stuff, was it his ability to understand how his body was working, it was moving, how he was explaining things to you, his understanding, his knowledge of the game?
Oh yeah.
And then what are the commonalities that you see in the greats? Because that sounds like he's a great, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, it was a lot of that, and just the fact that he took the time to. I mean, he had video on his computer. I mean, and so you knew that he looked at it, you knew that he studied it, you knew that he was aware of everything he did. And I mean, it was like, like I said, when we started breaking down video together, I was not only, I mean, I would say shocked, but just really amazed at how involved he was in his own ability and to try to make himself get better. And he was like, yeah, he showed me video of like, yeah, I was doing this wrong. If you look at this video here, this is what I was doing. And then about this is like 6 months later and I'm doing this. And so he was very, very good about, about breaking down his own abilities and stuff like that. So I thought that was really good. So
I like that. I wrote a word down, longevity. That comes to my mind when I sit here and I'm having this conversation with you. You've been with the Marlins for a long time. You've been in this game a long time, and I mean that with such reverence and like, wow. To me, this game is so harsh at times, and it takes a special guy to stay in it and be in it for a long time. So when I say longevity, what's been the key to your longevity in the game of baseball, do you think?
I think just doing my job properly, and I was taught when I first started doing this job as a scout. Obviously, you have to learn how to evaluate talent. It's not easy, and it comes with a lot of experience and just watching a ton of baseball.
Yeah.
But it's people, some of the old time scouts when I first started said, hey, you know what, you show up at the ballpark every day. Show up at the ballpark every day. Don't be lazy. Show up early. Get there for batting practice. Get there for pregame infield. Stay late. Ask questions. All that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of like where I first started. And it's not easy. This life as an area scout, depending on your area, it's lots of time in the car by yourself. It's lots of hotels by yourself. It's a lot of eating dinner by yourself. And so it's not easy. And but you had to get yourself up every morning and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the ballpark, and because it's where I like to be. And I made some amazing friends in the scouting world because of it. I'll have lifelong friends, and they were all doing the same job I had. It was great when you'd go up to Colorado and you'd go to a game, and all of a sudden you'd see another area scout that your friends were like, hey, where are you staying?
Yeah.
Where are we having dinner tonight? Just because it's so much nicer just to have somebody to sit down and have dinner with because you spend so much time on your own,
Yeah.
But and just being a good person, just try to do your job the right way. Don't think you know everything. Don't project that like you know everything, because you certainly don't. Geez, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, if you sat there and you tried to grade out a player and there was 3 other scouts sitting around you and you said, okay, we're going to grade out the right fielder's arm. Okay. And so the right fielder comes up and he makes a throw and you go, okay, what do you got? It's below average. What do you got? I think that's average. What do you got? I think that's plus. Jeez. Okay. So there was no, it's easy to read a radar gun.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 92's of average fastball. That's easy. My opinion on what an average arm is different from him, and it's different from him. Wow. It's easy to read a stopwatch. But when is everybody clicking the stopwatch at the same time?
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into it, and basically what it came down to is all they really want out of you at the end of the day is they want your opinion. Just give me your opinion. Do you like him? Do you not like him? How well do you like him? I want your opinion. And it's been a great run. I just kind of felt like it was time. It was time for me. To kind of get out it, I don't want to get too much into the analytics part of it, whole deal of it, but it is a big part of it now. And it's really changed over my career from how it used to be done to how it's done now. And not to say it's right or wrong. I just kind of felt like at this point in my career, it was time for me to kind of step aside a little bit. So I did.
Man, talking with Scott Stanley, Miami Marlins on the Baseball Forward podcast today. Boy, it's crazy because I sit down and watch. I have two sons, a 6th grader and a 5th grader. They love the game. I think they love the game. They say they love the game, and their actions kind of prove it. But we're sitting there watching the game last night, and I was just so I was a nobody, okay, but I got drafted by the Brewers and the Dodgers, okay, and I looked at it. I'm just talking trash to my kids. I'm like, I wonder how many guys in this country could say, hey, I got drafted by both those teams. Now, I didn't amount to anything, right, in pro ball, but my moment was being drafted. Yeah. And we were talking, and they started asking questions, and they're like, what was that like? And these are conversations I've never had with them. And I'm like, and I'm explaining the experience of having scouts watching you and cameras on you and doing the things that. So the direction I want to take this is, you're a dream maker. You could be a dream killer, but you're a dream maker. And when you show up to the park, you make guys like me feel 10 feet tall. And I can't imagine what that would feel like, knowing, because, and you said something earlier about they want your opinion. Your opinion obviously matters. Okay. So that's why you're in the position. So does that, you said show up early, stay late. Does knowing that you're the dream maker, that the guys like me that are trying to get your attention, when you show up to the park, can you feel that energy? Can you feel that fuel? Does it fuel you to want to work and get it right? Do you understand that a lot? Hey, when you walk into the park, who's he with? Who's he with? Who's that? Do you feel that?
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it. And like my wife always says, she goes, we stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, you do.
She goes, she can walk in the ballpark and she can pick out a scout. She goes, you guys all y'all dress the same, y'all look the same. Yes. All your actions are the same. Y'all got a stopwatch in your hand. Y'all got a radar gun. And it was funny. We were laughing because the big event every year for the high school kids is the area code games in California. And for the longest time, it was in Long Beach. It went to San Diego for a little bit, but now it's back in Long Beach again. And it's funny. The very first game of the day, the very first game of the area code game, is all the seats behind home plate are packed, right? Yeah, and she goes, and all of a sudden the guy gets ready to throw the first pitch, and in unison, 150 radar guns all go up, and you put them down, and they go up, and you put them down. She goes, it's just, she goes, it's so funny to watch you guys, but yeah, for sure I feel it, and kudos to you for getting drafted twice. I thought I had a pretty good career at Arizona. Played on a national championship team. Terry Francona was my teammate.
Wow, that's crazy,
and so, because Terry Francona was a first round kind of guy, you knew that every team had scouts at our games. I don't think they were quite as recognizable back then as we probably are now, because it's just become more of a deal with all the summer events, all that kind of stuff. You know that scouts are at the games now. But anyways, you knew with Terry Francona, you knew that there was scouts for every team at every game that we play. Yeah. And I thought I had a pretty good career. We had a little deal at the end of our senior year. Bill Jackson, the legendary bureau scout that was in our area, one of the nicest gentlemen in the world, got us all together, all the draft eligible guys from our Arizona team, and kind of gave us a little, idea. We had to fill out paperwork for him and all that kind of stuff. And he basically told me, he goes, look, he goes, you're not going to get drafted very high, but you'll get a chance to play. And so I kind of went into that thing thinking, okay, I'll get a chance. Well, at that time, the only people that knew that they got drafted was the first round. The first round was the only one that was publicized.
Oh, wow.
Everybody else found out through phone call, telegram, whatever. And all my teammates started getting telegrams. Hey, I got drafted by the so and so in the seventh round. I got drafted by the so, and I'm like, I kept checking the mail every day. Oh, and I never got anything. So I never got an opportunity to play. I never got drafted. Went to a workout for the Angels. Thought I did pretty well at the workout for the Angels. Never got a phone call. Right, so ended up having a really good friend of mine who was coaching at Pima Junior College down in Tucson, asked me, he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I'm just going to finish school. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. He said, well, do you think you'd like to coach baseball? I said, I don't know. I don't know. And he goes, well, why don't you come out to Pima, volunteer as a coach out there, see if you like it. So I started doing that, fell in love with it. Did that for 6 years. I was told at that time that if you ever wanted to be a head coach, you had to have a master's degree. So I had to make a choice. Dave Dangler, the longtime coach at the Yavapai, also after Gary Ward, offered me an assistant coaching job to go to be at Yavapai. I also had the opportunity to go back to the University of Arizona, be a graduate assistant, get my master's degree, which is what people told me I needed to have if I was ever going to be a head coach. And I chose that route. So I went back to the U of A, got my master's degree in secondary education, minor in sports psychology.
Oh, wow.
And coached there for 6 years. In 1992, whatever the reason was, the NCAA in their infinite wisdom decided that they were going to institute coaching cutbacks. And so I was kind of being paid as an extra assistant coach out of the dugout club. And when they instituted the coaching cutbacks, I was going to be the odd man out. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I was kind of out of a job for about a month and a half. Somebody had told me, hey, if you go to the area code games and just kind of like introduce yourself to scouting directors, maybe you can get a scouting job. Okay. So I was working a baseball camp in Telluride, Colorado. I left the camp, drove across to San Jose, where at the time where the area code games were. And I introduced myself around to different scouting directors for 4 or 5 days. And I got an interview with the Montreal Expos. Kevin Malone, the scouting director for Montreal, interviewed me. He said that he goes, hey, when the area codes are done, he goes, I'm gonna have my West Coast supervisor call you. And I was like, okay. And I kind of thought, yeah, that was his kind of like his way of getting rid of me, and I'll never get a phone call. West Coast supervisor called me. They had one opening, and that was in Southern California. I told you that area over there where I started, and I was single at the time. And they said, if you want the job, it's yours, but you're gonna have to pack up and move. And I said, let's do it.
Wow.
And so that's kind of like where the scouting thing started, because to be honest with you, I thought I was going to be a college coach my entire life. That's what I loved doing. I thought I was going to do it for the rest of my life, but because of that one little thing that came around with the NCAA, I was an odd man out, and luckily the Expos hired me, and here I am today.
I've always had like an affinity for a position like yours, because I'm like, again, I go back to just the idea of the feelings. It's exciting for everybody in the evaluation. Like you guys, there's a hope in the air when you guys are around, and the majority of people don't see all the business back end side of it.
Right.
It's those moments of seeing the lights on and the kid perform. So, hey, man, I love it. Talking with Scott Stanley of the Miami Marlins here today on the Baseball Forward podcast. Man, if there's going to be let's just say there's young coaches out here listening to this episode of the Baseball Forward podcast. And there's guys that want to get into scouting. What would you want young guys getting into the profession to know about it and heads up on, and what advice would you have for those guys?
It's hard work. If I was going into scouting right now, I would definitely have a math background.
Wow.
I say that just because of all the analytics.
I get it.
All the analytics that are involved in the game right now. I mean, you go to every major league ballpark now, and there's not only the scoreboard, but there's a little place over there where it's got the pitcher's horizontal break, vertical break, exit velocity, launch angle. And I try to tell people, I go, look, I said, it's not really different than the way we've always done things. It's just, there's a number attached to it now versus a word.
Good point.
You know what I mean? I mean, you would sit there sometimes and you would be talking to another scout, and all of a sudden somebody would barrel up a ball and it would just sound different than anything else, right? And you go, man, that's loud contact. Now it just has 110 exit velocity attached to it, but it's the same thing. You used to watch a pitcher and go, man, that guy's got great sink on his fastball. Now it just has vertical break assigned to it or horizontal break assigned to it. So it's no different than the way we've always done things. It's just now it has a number attached to it.
Interesting.
But everybody can see when the guy's got ride on his fastball, or he's got sink on his fastball, or tremendous break on the breaking ball. And so like I said, it's not a whole lot different than it always has been. It just has a number attached to it nowadays. But it's a tough game. Teams seem to be cutting down on the amount of area scouts and scouting. And I don't know really why. I don't know if it's because there's so many more games on TV now, especially with the colleges. I mean, you can get on you can basically find any college game on TV now.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you could watch games on TV rather than actually going to the ballpark, which I think is a huge mistake.
I agree with that.
But I don't know if it's because of finances or whatever, but some teams are starting to cut down on the amount of scouts that they have. And so it's a tough business to get into. I was so happy that I was able to ride it out until I was old enough to retire, to kind of leave on my own terms. But coaching wise, man, I'll tell you what, I value any of the coaches that want to go out there and spend the time with the kids and teach the proper fundamentals to the kids. And I get so upset when I see the 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old club ball teams worried about winning more than learning how to play the game. And I helped coach my son's team when he was 10, 11, and 12. And, you get the little ring or whatever, it's made out of plastic, and you think it's, but is that really what's important? Or
That's
is it
right.
like, let's teach these kids how to do the proper fundamentals, and let's teach them how to play the game the right way. And if we win at the end of the day, great. If we lose, let's learn from it. Right. But I say, I coaches, man, you put in long hours, and if you're doing it the right way, you put in long hours, and you're really doing a great service for the kids. But please focus more on the fundamentals and how to play the game than versus winning and losing.
That's great advice. Scott Stanley here, the Miami Marlins. Relationships in your business and in any business. Talk to me about how important a network is, building relationships and having good relationships.
Fantastic. It's unbelievable. That's one of the things I'm really going to miss about this job. I've made some unbelievable friends over the years. You travel with them, you sit at the ballpark with them all the time, you get to know their families. And it's the part that I'm going to miss the most. And I've told all those guys that, when I told them I was going to retire, so I'm going to miss you guys more than anything else. Just being at the ballpark and being around those guys. And the thing about it is we all like to talk. Whether we like it or we like to admit it or not, we all like to talk. And if you go to the ballpark and you sit around, you're always going to hear somebody talking about something, but that for me has been the biggest part of it. I look back at the places that I was able to go to in the United States of America because of scouting, because for a while, I think we had about a 10 or 11 year stretch with the Marlins where they would send the area scouts out during the summertime to help with minor league coverage. And so I got to, because in Arizona, there was a lot of AAA stuff. Salt Lake had AAA, Albuquerque AAA, Denver AAA. And so we didn't scout the AAA level very much. And so there was nothing locally for me to do. So they would send me, I did the Carolina League for a bunch. I did the South Atlantic League a bunch.
Let's go.
And so all those little ballparks that I ended up getting a chance to go to and scout those places, and places that my younger son was able to come with me on a summer vacation and spend the time at the ballpark and be all those places. I can't get those experiences back. I look back at all the time that my younger son and I spent together. I think for like 4 summers in a row, he would take like 2 weeks off of his baseball and come with me on a road trip to the.
How cool is that?
And one of the great stories was our Marlins club was in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
And great ballpark, great city, whatever. And I would always try to see if the schedule would line up where the teams that they assigned me to were going to Greensboro, because that way I would be able to take, my son would be able to go with me, and we would be able to do stuff at the ballpark, in the cages and stuff like that. So at the time one of the years when I had him with me, JT Realmuto happened to be our catcher in Greensboro. And my younger son was a catcher. So my younger son just gravitated to JT Realmuto, right? And coincidence or not, both had the initials JT. Both of them stood for the same thing, Jacob Tyler.
No way. That's
coincidence,
cool.
Right? Both catchers. And those 4 or 5 days that my younger son spent around JT Realmuto, I think framed not only his just the way that he ended up playing the game, and being a good human being, because that's the way JT Realmuto was.
Dang.
And if I ever get the opportunity somewhere in the future to thank JT Realmuto for what he did for my younger son. I'll definitely do that because it meant a lot to my younger son to be around him and watch how he went about the game, went about, just what a good person he was, how the hard worker he was, and all that kind of stuff. They stayed in touch for 4 or 5, 6 years,
That's
after
cool,
that.
man.
Stuff like that. They
Wow.
obviously, as they both got older, they kind of lost touch, but forever thankful to JT for what he did for my younger son. So,
And that's relationships right there.
absolutely.
Think about that. Like, man, that's just the idea of I want to be a better person because the people that are around me and the people that
Yeah.
surround me. That is so
And
cool to
this
hear.
is when JT was low A.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's low A. And now he's an all-star, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Talking
Yeah.
with Scott Stanley here on the Baseball Forward podcast. About 5 more minutes here, Mr. Stanley. Okay. A little bit maybe of a I don't want it to be a downer question. I want people to learn from this. But when you look back, like at your career, do you have regrets that you would want someone like? Did you have? We're all where we need to be. I understand that, but
Yeah.
do you look back and say, I wish I would have done that a little bit differently? Maybe someone can learn from this. So what regrets do you have, or what advice would you have for people to, hey, maybe don't make the same mistake I did?
Probably as a player, if I go back as far back as a player, my biggest regret would be that I thought I was as good as I needed to be, and
Wow.
I guess I thought my natural ability was going to take me where I needed to go. Um, Nowadays, with the PBR, with the perfect game, with the 5 tool showcases, kids have a much better idea when they play in those tournaments of what the other players around the country look like, right?
Yeah. Yep.
When I was in high school, we didn't have that. So basically, you knew who the better player was in your city, and that's about as far as it went. You didn't know,
Yep.
and so if you were like a player, if you were like a dude in your city, you thought you were pretty good, right? So I show up at the University of Arizona, and all of a sudden now kids are recruited from California and all the other places, and I'm like, whoa, these guys are pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I was as good as I needed to be, and I wasn't. So I think it's just never think that you've stopped, never think that you've reached your peak, right? Because there's always somebody working harder than you are. But I think that was my biggest regret is that I didn't really work hard enough when I was younger, because I thought my natural ability was going to be good enough, and came to find out it wasn't.
Wow.
As a I guess the only regret I have is that maybe as a coach or whatever, is that maybe I didn't, when I got let go from the U of A, that I didn't like maybe search out another coaching position. Because I think coaching was always going to be what I really wanted to do, and what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. But that fear of being out of work for like a month and not having any paycheck,
Yeah.
and then having the scouting opportunity open up to me. Did I think I was going to be a scout for the rest of my life? Not a chance. Not a chance.
Oh, man.
Right? I kind of figured that it was a stopgap. I was going to, okay, now I'm going to start getting paid again, but I'm
Yeah.
always going to look for maybe another coaching opportunity. But ends up being 33 years later, I kept doing this, and so I guess there's really no regret other than the fact that now I'm basically retired. I'm still getting paid through the end of October, but because that's where my contract was for the end of October. I've started coaching baseball again at Sandra Day O'Connor High School here in Phoenix, where my wife is my wife's the head softball coach at the school. So I got to know the head baseball coach very, very well. And I asked him if I could come back out there and help out. So he's allowed me to do that. So I'm kind of getting back to what I originally thought was going to be my career. It's been fun so far. It's only been a couple of weeks, but it's been very enjoyable. So
that's such a good baseball story. And it's like, man, this is my summary. You've given so much good to the game, but like so much good to the game, and the game has given you so much good back.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, that's beautiful. You did not think you were going to be it was a stopgap, you said. And
Yes.
you're a scout for like 33 years
Yes.
evaluating talent. And now you get to go back and enjoy coaching and get to be the interaction one-on-one. What's one of the last questions I have for you? I had 2 more questions for you. What's the most fulfilling thing about coaching, being on a field for you?
For me, I think it's just like watching kids improve, watching kids get better, knowing that what you're working with them at is really helping them, and especially when you see them take that whatever skill or whatever you've been working on, take that into the game situation, it starts to work for them, and you can just see how happy they are about that, that they finally figured something out, and that you maybe had some small part in doing that for them.
Yeah.
I think is the best thing for me.
I love hearing that. All right, last question for you. Music. If you were playing right now, and you're walking up to the plate, what's your
Lord.
walkout? What's your walkout music? What song are you coming out to?
Oh my Lord.
I want you
That's
to
a lot
think
of
about
pressure.
that. And so, okay, so hey, you're driving down the road to Sandra Day O'Connor. What music do you listen to?
It's going to be something from the 80s.
Okay.
I've got the 80s on my XM radio. It's going to be something from the 80s. I listen to country a lot too, but I think for a walk-up song, there's probably more in an 80s song maybe than there would be in a country song. The country songs are always so sad.
Yeah, they are.
But it would be something from the 80s. My gosh, what would it be? Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot, thinking real fast. How about We Will Rock You?
Let's go. Hey, I can see you doing that. I could see I see, and I love hearing that because hey, you got to have, it's like your identity, it's your brand. But hey, take your time and feel free to get back to me on that one because I will be curious.
I will.
You deserve to have a walkout song. Mine was Pink Floyd, Money at the beginning.
Okay.
When I walk out and you hear that was mine. So but I will say this, man, what you have accomplished in this game, Mr. Stanley, is I tip my cap to you. And you got so much more left in you. I know it, but like from a guy from my perspective, just know that there are still so many guys out here that look up to guys like you and say, hey, thank you so much for doing what you did to the game and what you meant to the game and what you've given to the game, because it gives me energy to want to go be the best I can for the game, wherever stage I'm at. I'm gonna finish up with this. Give us some advice to take us out, and then I'll wrap it up. But give us some advice. Give our motto at Baseball Forward is elevating the next generation. So the next generation of ball players coming up. Give me some simple advice for the baseball players coming up that are going to listen to you and hang on to every word that you say. What's your advice to elevate the next generation?
I would say follow your dream. Don't stop until somebody makes you stop. Right. Keep going. And even when somebody tries to make you stop, don't stop. Keep going until every door is closed. There's lots of players out there that got drafted back when the draft was numerous rounds. I mean, Mike Piazza was a 66th rounder.
Yep.
Come on. I mean, and I signed a couple of guys. I signed a Timmy Wood, a pitcher out of Pima Community College in the 48th round, 7-year big leaguer. Right.
Wow.
And so just because you weren't the first rounder or you didn't get the biggest scholarship, there's always going to be a place for you as long as you play the game the right way, learn the fundamentals, be a good person, work harder than the person next to you, all that kind of stuff. You'll have every opportunity to live your dream, and don't stop it until somebody forces you to stop it.
And you lived a dream. You're living a dream. You lived a dream. You're in baseball.
And I'm going out on my own terms before somebody forces me out.
I love it. Hey, awesome conversation. Scott Stanley, episode 80 of the Baseball Forward podcast. We'll see you guys soon.